Stop. Stop beating yourself up about it. Stop blaming yourself about it. Stop telling yourself that it's all your fault. Because a lot of the time, it isn't. A lot of the time, some of it's your fault. And sometimes none of it's your fault. The thing is, it hurts when you're always saying, I'm sorry, but you have to, right? I'm sorry for not working hard enough. That's what you say to yourself. I'm sorry for not making the right choice at that crucial moment. I'm sorry that I said that thing to that person that I didn't really mean, but I thought it'd be funny because other people thought it'd be funny around me and I just wanted to fit in. And we were all saying mean things about this person. So I thought it was the right thing to do. But I know that it wasn't. So I'm sorry that I said that and I went against what I should have been doing that I knew was right. A lot of you right now are blaming yourself for things that may or may not be your fault. And it's dragging you down. It is exactly what's stopping you from being able to believe that you actually deserve more out of life. A lot of the times I can sit here and you can look at yourself in the mirror and say, you're not motivated enough and you don't have it and you don't have the work ethic. And sometimes that's going to be true. Sometimes, guys, it genuinely is going to be true. And today we're going to talk about a topic that is really close to my heart, right? Learning to forgive yourself. A lot of the things that you blame yourself for, that you think were all your fault, even when they weren't, or they were your fault and you need to let go. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Humble Orange, and it's great to have you here, right? I've been in self-development for 10 plus years at this point, and I'm hoping I can share some value with you guys. I hope you get a lot of value out of this. I've been studying this stuff. I've been learning this stuff from courses to books to anything and everything because at 16, I didn't like who I was, and I wanted to try to become someone I did like, and that maybe a few other people would like as well. So that's how I got into this journey. And I hope that some of the things I dropped today can help you learn to forgive yourself. Today, you're going to get 4 crucial things that are going to help you forgive yourself. Today, when you leave this video, you're going to be able to forgive yourself. Today, when you leave, I want you to go to the mirror and say, I'm sorry and it's okay. I want you to say, I forgive you for the things that you did that didn't align with who I thought you were. So, to understand this to begin with is the most important aspect is where does this come from, right? Why are you carrying this? Why is it so heavy? What is it stopping you from doing? How does it actually get in the way? And why is it a problem, right? To begin with, right? You could just live your life like this and you probably have been living your life like this up until this point. And that's going to change today. So why is it important? When you are constantly holding on to guilt, holding on to shame, holding on to these things that are telling you that you've messed up and you're a failure and that you did this to this person and you hurt that person and you never process these things. The way that it manifests in your life. When you start going after things or doing things, right? Let's just say you want a better body. Let's just say you want to get into a really great relationship and you hurt somebody before. You really, really scarred somebody in a relationship. And sure, the breakup's over now. And breakups are complicated, right? Like it's really tough to say who did what and who was right and wrong. But you know you're wrong in this case. You know that you messed up your relationship and you're now going into the dating world again and you meet this person who's just beautiful and perfect in every way and everything you've wanted. And then you mess it up. And then you meet another person who's like her or him, and they're beautiful and perfect in so many ways, in different ways, and they bring things to the table that are different. They make you feel like a better person, and then you mess it up. And then you keep seeing the same pattern happen, and you can't figure out why, since your last relationship, you've been unable to get into a good, healthy relationship. It's because you're sabotaging what you already have in front of you because you don't believe you deserve better. You don't believe you deserve happiness. You don't believe you deserve a better life. Because how could a person who did what you did to that person that you were dating ever deserve a good life? That is to paint the picture of what this is costing you on a day-to-day basis and how, right? Well, I'd say the biggest factor is shame. Shame is a very powerful tool. It's a powerful emotion, a powerful tool, at least in my experience, that's used by the devil. Shame is so strong on the heart sometimes because you'll cower, and instead of admitting to the person that you've wronged them, your ego gets in the way. So instead, you continue to build this narrative that you're right. The friends you've cut off, the friends that you've lost because you're a poor friend and it's fine anyway, they're toxic people anyway. But you know you want a good friend. You know you want a good partner. But that isn't actually the problem. The fact that you want a good friend or want a good boyfriend or girlfriend or husband or wife isn't actually the problem. The problem is that you're not admitting it. So in the darkness of this thing that you've done, because you haven't admitted it, right? It continues to have power over you. And that's how I view sin, right? It's like, as long as nobody knows, it continues to hold you. And sometimes it's not about telling somebody else, but it's admitting to yourself that what happened is wrong. Because you're sitting in a dichotomy, right? Yeah, should you tell somebody? Sometimes to heal, you need to go say, I'm sorry to a person. But saying I'm sorry takes a lot of strength. It takes a lot of strength to stand up and say, I messed up. I'm sorry. I should have done better. I could have done better. I wish I had done better, but I didn't. And when you say those words, it's tough to face up to the reality of your own incompetence. But it's freeing because it's all out there now. And that's step one, right? That might help you, but sometimes you can't. Sometimes the person who you've wronged has passed away, or sometimes you guys don't speak anymore. So the person you need to go say sorry to is yourself. And what is shame, right? Well, for me at least, the way I've learned to define shame a lot has been there's a gap between the person you say, believe, and think you are and the actions you took in a situation. And that gap is what's killing you. That gap can create spaces, small, large, or chasms between you and the person you love, between you and God, between you and yourself, a version of yourself that you thought was who you were and wanted to believe was who you were. That's the power that shame holds over you. And that's what's influencing this aspect, this I do or don't deserve aspect of things, right? The belief that I'm going to keep self-sabotaging things until I have paid for my sins because I don't deserve any better. Until I've paid for what I've done to that person, I should have a good relationship. Why? Why would you deserve a good relationship then? Why would you deserve a good body? You don't deserve good things. You're a person who lies to themselves. You're a person who says, I'm honorable and I have integrity and I do this and that, and then you cheat. And then you steal and then you lie. Isn't that right? So this is what is actually causing this shame. And most of this, you have control over. You just got to go to the mirror and say, what I did was wrong, and that's okay. I need to first admit that. Can I say I'm sorry to the people that I've wronged? If you can, do it. And if you can't, say sorry to yourself and then forgive yourself. Right? And that's where the shame starts. Now, how are we going to completely reverse all of this? Because as good as well as it is to look in the mirror, right? That's fantastic, but that's some really in the star area fairy advice to give you guys. And doesn't really help us much. So what we're actually going to do is this. Step one, what has helped me the most is understanding that, at least from a Christian perspective, is that I'm forgiven. And that I've already been forgiven for whatever I've done, right, through Christ, and that's okay. That gives me the permission to forgive myself and the understanding that if I'm forgiven, I have the capacity to forgive others. So I've been forgiven. Therefore, I can forgive myself, and therefore others deserve forgiveness. And that's the trail that it goes through, right? But even if you're not coming from a Christian perspective in this, right, here's the option you have. Remember, the power also still sits with you to say, I forgive myself. You let go of all that hurt that you're holding on to, saying that I'm wrong, I'm a horrible person, I'm terrible, I don't deserve happiness. You can let go of it. Right? And for me, at least what's helped me is the understanding that step one is to just put it all out there. Accept what's happened. Understand that you're forgiven. Understand that the power to forgive yourself is with you as well. There's a wonderful quote from 1 John says, confess to yourself, holding on to the thing that you've held. Cut that out. If we confess our sins, he is faithful and just and willing to forgive us our sins and purify us. What I like about that the most is the confess part, actually, because it's a confession that whether you're confessing to God, confessing to the person you've wronged, confessing to yourself, the first step that you go through is confession. Is let it out. Let them know. Let yourself know that what I've done is wrong, because once you've cleared the air on whether this is wrong or right, there's no confusion anymore. Confusion's out of the way. Now we understand that you need to go fix something. You have to go fix something in your heart. But until you can admit that it's wrong, you're stuck. When you're in this tug of war with yourself on whether or not you're actually wrong or not, and internally you really know what you did was wrong. You know it doesn't align, like we said, it doesn't align with the version of yourself that you believe you are, who's honorable and person with integrity, and then looking at what you did doesn't connect with them. Right? Now we face cognitive dissonance. And you can disassociate completely and say that's not me. You can backwards rationalize and kind of build this narrative that the other person deserved you, which is what a lot of people do. I know a lot of people do this, and their friends who do this. Backwards rationalize that it's always someone else's fault. Always. It must be their fault. Otherwise, how can I, this person with honor and integrity, well, how can I be the wrong person? How can I have done that? I'm a person with integrity. I'd never do that. Me? No way. So where do you end up, right? Like, you end up in this position where you have to now build mental models and do mental gymnastics to figure out how they're wrong when you know very clearly you messed up. The first step is confess it. Let it out there. Confess to yourself that what you did was wrong. And through that, you gain freedom. Through that, you then say, oh, okay, I can put it on the table. I can confess what I've done to the person, the wrong. I can confess my sins before the Lord. I can confess to myself that this didn't align with who I am. And now I need to forgive myself for that. Step 2, right? Now we've now confessed everything and put it on the table. Great. How do we understand that it's okay that this happened, and how do we not kind of continue to believe that we intentionally hurt this person? Okay, you did the best you could with the information, the tools you had at the time. I heard this when I was really young. I think, Jesus, man, it must have been 18 or 19, doing a really awesome course called Transformation Mastery. And the point was, you did the best you could with the information you had at the time. And through understanding that, knowing that you couldn't have made any other decision. And I used to do this meditative practice where I would sit and go through this walkthrough, and the guy would say, it's okay. You did everything you could. You made all the best decisions you could have. You took all the turns you could have taken. You did your best, and that's fine. A lot of this, guys, hinges on 2 things, right? 1, did you do your best? And 2, admits that you did if you did do your best. Now, here's the tough part. Here's the tough love. The tough love is sometimes you didn't do your best. Sometimes you didn't do your best, guys. That's a tough pill to swallow, right? In this particular phrase, it's a very self-forgiving phrase, which I think is really important for a lot of people holding on to things they didn't do, right? And I'll give you an example. I was a kid in grade 2, and I didn't really do well at school. I didn't like school. It was a really tough and harsh environment for me, from getting bullied and struggling with being bullied for being fat and struggling with the actual education of it all. And I didn't feel like I fit in and nothing made sense. And, upon further reflection and learning learning about myself, counseling sessions with my wife and those sort of things, an interesting thing had come up, which was, do you not like school, or did something happen that blocked your ability to learn? Because I love education. I actually really love learning, and I've loved reading, but I just couldn't get with the school system. grade 2, I'm sitting with my friend Tyler. Maybe he's watching this right now. He has, he might be, and I think he watches the video sometimes. So if he's listening, I don't know if he remembers this, but he was next to me. So me and him were like best buds. So I'm sitting with my friend Tyler, and our teacher says, "Everyone keep quiet. Don't say a word. Go quiet." And then the teacher comes up, and I look at Tyler, and I whisper something. "Yo, bro, whatever grade 2s talk about, right? Something, because we've just been talking before that. So I mentioned something to him about what we are just speaking about. And the teacher comes up, grabs my head, and just on the table. That's my head. Boom, straight on the table. In grade 2. And for years, I could never understand why. Is it because I spoke? Did she not like me? Right? Like, what caused it? Like, it was still like early 2000s. So, South Africa still wasn't so pretty back then, so did she not? Was it because I'm black? What, I didn't know. Is it because I'm chubby again? Is that the reason? I didn't know. I had no idea as a kid. And I probably never will know. But you internalize that sort of thing as a kid. You internalize that sort of thing and you kind of make it your own fault. That I must have done something to this teacher. Right? Is it because I spoke? But like other kids might have whispered and I didn't see them getting their heads hit against the desk. So I used to blame myself a lot for this. And it was tough. And trying to understand why for so many years it was such a weird experience. And as the years went by, maybe I never fully understood why I hated school because it got worse and worse and worse, right? I'd run away and go hide we have a big garden growing up, hide in the garden. And until this time to go to school was over. And then I'd run out. I was small, they couldn't find me. So I held on to this and I could never understand why. And sometimes you don't understand why. Sometimes things happen to you, whether you grow up in an abusive home, whether you're faced with situations you have no control over, the passing of a parent or a relative that's really close. I've had those too. And when you're really small, those are so hard to understand and wrap your head around. So they're genuinely things you have no control over. But there's situations where you do have some control over them. Relationships, great example, right? You're in a relationship and things go south. There was definitely power for you to change things. Now, not to say that you didn't do everything you could, but to say that you and the other person have equal amount of power to make changes in a relationship. Now, you're going to have to decide, are you going to do everything you can to make this relationship work? And by everything you can, I don't mean necessarily the sacrificing of boundaries and respect and those sort of things. I mean effort, understanding, facing your ego, letting go of preconceived ideas of what's this and that and the other, trying to deepen your ability to understand another human being beyond yourself, coming face to face with the limitations of your own self-centeredness that block you from connection with your partner. Now, I've had conversations with people where relationship has ended and I ask pertinent questions. And these are the tough questions. Okay, why? We had issues with this and then the other. Okay, cool. What else? Had this big problem that kept coming up and no. Okay. First question I asked you. Did you seek third-party help from family? Did you go to a couples therapist? Couples counselor? Did you go to the church for counseling? Most of the time, the answer is no. And I'm tough. With the tough love comes back. And I said, cool, that's fine. But just know you didn't do everything you could. You didn't do everything. I didn't think of that. What do you mean you didn't think of that? There's a better help ad everywhere. Come on, get with it already. Like, there's options all over the place. Sit down every week with your partner and watch a podcast on how to improve your relationship. Damn, I did that the first year of dating, the first year of me and my partner lived together. We used to watch our relationship theory with Tom Bellew, Lisa Bellew. And by the way, my wife hated that. She despised that. But she did like Esther Perel, which I found as well. And we started watching Esther Perel together. So that was quite nice. So what I'm saying is, did you do everything you could? I've always been a big proponent on trying to prepare the best you can and trying to optimize the best you can, right? If you're looking at aspects of life, even in your relationship, right? And I'll give you an example. I'm a bodybuilder, right? Bodybuilders have meal plans. We have everything's prepared. We have a pre-workout regimen and a post-workout regimen, and we have workouts prepared by our coach already, and that's all set up well together. And then we have all that set up, and then we have times when you go to sleep, and we try have our bedtime routine, and we have our vitamins and our mineral stacks. So we have our vitamins for the day, our vitamins for the evening. Okay, now look how meticulous a bodybuilder can be with your craft. But these guys can't hold relationships together. But if you could transfer that same level of meticulous detail to that relationship, how much better would it be if you really paid attention to it? It's a very big part of your life. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So sometimes you don't do all you could have done. Let's say you're prepping for a show. Actually, this is a perfect example. I went through this myself, right? I've prepped for 2 shows so far, and I have more on the horizon. And it's so interesting to me, right? I watch people go through shows and they would struggle with the difficulty they're going through and everything. And then they finish their prep and then they're like, okay, cool. It didn't go well. I'm going to get a new coach. The absolute lack of accountability is disgusting. The first question I ask, because right, like I've been with my coach 5 years and we've only made progress every single year. And it's been so interesting to me because when me and him talk, we talked about how clients just leave and stuff. And I've said to my friend, very strange. I mean, for me, it's going to have to take, right? Like my coach, I have to do everything 110% perfectly. And then let's say we do like 3 or 4 shows together where I do everything I'm supposed to do and I'm not doing well and I'm not getting better or I'm not improving placings or there's no improvement in the result that I'm looking for, right? Like, or the look is not getting better. Not even the results of the stage and everything, the look. Are we looking better? These are sort of things that I'm talking about, right? So it's so easy to pass blame, but ask yourself, and I ask myself, did I do everything I could with the resources that I had? No, I didn't. Cool. That's on me then. And same with you guys, right? First question, when you look at the phrase, right, that you did everything you could with the tools and the information you had at the time. So forgive yourself. The first question you'll have to ask yourself, which is really tough, is did I do everything I could? Write down what you think you could have done. Now, some of you genuinely have done everything you could. And that's okay. If you did, let it go. Some of you really did do everything you could have. Hindsight is 2020, guys. Hindsight is always 2020. And with the beauty and glory of retrospect, it's so easy to go back and say, should have done that. Should have done this. This could have been better. That could have been better. It's so easy to do that with the brilliance of retrospect. But you don't have that in real time. In real time, you have a given amount of information available to you about what you're going to do. You have to make a call. You've done everything possible to make the best call. You've assessed the information. You've analyzed. You've looked at it. You've looked at other options. You've talked to people smarter than you. You've prepared the best way possible. And you make the decision and it's the wrong call. Forgive yourself then. And let it go. You did everything you could. So stop stressing about it. It's only holding you back. Step 3. Guilt. The emotion that you're really, really filled with most of the time when facing this experience, right, of forgiveness is like this constant ache. So you have a guilt, capital G, and guilt, small g. Guilt in the small g is what we call emotion, right? The emotion of guilt is actually a good thing. When you do something wrong, like we talked about back to the shame aspect, right? Usually before you get to shame, you experience guilt. provided you know you've done something wrong, there will be shame. But first comes guilt. The emotion of guilt is a signal to the brain to tell you you've done something that does not align with the person that you say you are and the person that you think you are, which is good. It's a good thing. It's a good signal. But the problem comes in when you live in the state of guilt. The state of guilt is not a guilt. The state of guilt holds you, strangles you, makes you feel like you don't breathe because you're now in this constant thing of blaming yourself, right? So with this one, number three is a short one because it's just something you need to understand. You need to try differentiate whether you're living in the state of guilt where you're always wrong, always blaming yourself for everything that happens in your life. It has to be your fault. And it sometimes presents as accountability. It sometimes presents as you being really radically accountable and taking radical ownership for everything that's happened in your life. But sometimes you just taking ownership for things that aren't your fault. And you blame yourself for everything in your life that's going wrong. The state of guilt and the emotion of guilt are different because the emotion of guilt is a passing wave like any other emotion. You need to feel it. It gives you information. The information is to be acted upon and then to move on. The state of guilt, something you don't move on. You stay in it, never leave, dictate, direct your life. And the final point, number 4, which I think for me leads us to where we are now, right? Where the channel is now. Why you're watching this video and why you've made it this far in the video, because most people don't. Number 4 leads us to the pursuit of becoming somebody that you like. Somebody that, I guess, if I'm your friend and I'm telling you about this person that we're going to go out with and you're going to meet them, and I describe this person to you and you think, wow, this sounds like a really great person to be friends with. This sounds like somebody that I would really, really like, that I'd like to get to know better, that I'd like to get to understand better, that I'd like to become friends with. That's a good definition of the person you want to pursue. And you define that however you want to, but what you after is a version of yourself that you can like and then possibly love. When you do this exercise, and I want you to take it as an exercise, think about the quality of what a person that you really like would have. Someone you can trust, someone with integrity, someone who has the type of life you would admire, someone who has the traits you would admire more than anything, who acts in a way that you would admire. What does that person look like to you? And I want you to think about this. And I want you to think about what life looks like as you pursue being that person. Because it's not necessarily becoming the person that makes us believe that we're worthy of the things that we're going after, whether it's a beautiful relationship, a beautiful, strong body in the gym, or financial success. It's not getting there that makes you feel like you deserve it, but it's the daily pursuit of that thing that slowly turns you into a person that you can like a little bit more. And we want to like ourselves a little bit more. It's a daily pursuit of trying to understand what a person who you would like, that you'd like to be friends with, who that person is, what they're like, and what traits they have. And the fact that you pursue that version of yourself daily is what gives you integrity. It's what allows you to slowly build a sense of pride in yourself and self-trust. There's this thing like David Goggins says, and he says that there's no point getting down on yourself, right, and having shame. I'm just paraphrasing it. And he says, the phrase that he uses though is face it, fix it, make it better. Which is it's really straightforward, right? Very David Goggins. But what I like about it is that it really takes you through all the kind of steps that you need to go through, right? You face the problem, you fix the problem, and you make yourself better. And I like the idea of analyzing, right? Analyze what happened. Really take stock of what went wrong. Then take a look at it once you've analyzed. Really face it. Confess what's happened. Lay it on the table. Look at it for what it is and what you did wrong. Look at whether or not you were able to do everything you could do or not. Face the truth of the situation. Once you've analyzed it and you've faced the truth of it, then forgive yourself for it. Say sorry to yourself and forgive yourself. It's okay that it happened. Let go of what happened, release it out. And then now that you've forgiven yourself, then look at how you can become a person who wouldn't do that thing again. A person whose words align with their values and whose values align with their actions. A person that you can reflect on and think, wow, I really like this person. And maybe you don't like yourself so much right now, but maybe you could like who you're becoming. And that in itself is really rewarding. To be able to like who you're becoming is more than most people will ever get as far as their true self-love for themselves. Because you wake up with doubts every day about, I should do this. I just need to go to the gym. I wish I just didn't press the snooze button again and got up when I was supposed to. And I wish I just prayed today. And I wish that I was a little bit nicer to my wife or to my girlfriend. And I really wish I bought a flower. She seems upset about something today. And I wish I was a little bit more considerate. I wish I was a little bit more thoughtful about how I treat people around me. You know, these thoughts that you're going through in the pursuit of trying to become a person that you like, a version of yourself that you like. Bit by bit, you'll slowly find that you start to take steps towards being that person. And as those steps happen, sometimes the thoughts that plague your mind quiet down because you slowly are becoming that person. That doesn't mean you don't press the snooze button anymore. It doesn't mean that all of a sudden you go to the gym every day. It doesn't mean that you're all of a sudden a loving partner that your partner wish they could have and they've been asking you to be for 2 years. It just means that you're getting there. And as you get there, you start to understand that maybe you do deserve to have a little bit better out of life. So I hope you stick around for the next one, guys. And I hope that you enjoyed this and I hope that you took a lot of value out of it and that you subscribe and that you're able to maybe share in the comments a little bit about what it is that you've forgiven yourself for, or something in your life that you need to forgive yourself for, right? Or just something you think that you're taking out of this video, right? About guilt and about shame and about the fact that you know now that you did the best you could with the resources that you had at the time, and that's enough. And I'll see you in the next one.